you can't just say, I want to go there, like, and have no idea where you're starting from. That's why learning from mistakes is so hard. You don't even know what mistakes you've made. Like, how often do you take a true evaluation? Where am I winning and losing with my money? Where am I winning and losing with my relationships, with my mom, right? Where am I winning and losing with my health? Where am I winning and losing spiritually, or my craft, or my dream, or my passion, or my business, or school? Like, what is slowing me down and what is making me faster? Like, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Mind Flux podcast. And today we're going to talk about proven success principles. Guys, I want you to understand that this is not a lecture. This is, not a perfect path. There is no perfect path. This is us observing, how to think, not what to think. That's what this show is about, and everything that we do. It's not just about waking up early or reading books or going to seminars. Success to us is that progressive realization of a worthy idea. And so what we're going to be talking about is, not some pill you can pop or some shortcut to success. There's no magic elixir. And what success looks like, what it can be, and the proven principles of getting there. So before we dive into it, I just need you to know, if you're watching on YouTube, go ahead and hit subscribe for two reasons. One, it's free. And two, it's going to help us get our rankings up and more of our shows. If you're listening on iTunes, we just need a quick review. If this gives you value, and only if this brings you value, leave us a review after the show. As always, we are recording downtown in Indianapolis in our office. We got the entire show produced by Benji Got Beats. I'm one of your hosts, Tristan Parmley, and my other host,
Josh Matthews.
Boom, man. We're ready to go.
Ready.
So, proven success principles. Let's just dive into it. First of all, how are we quantifying success? How does that even happen?
Yeah, so I think a lot of people think that, success is just some like crazy idea, or it's like there's a specific lane for success. But one thing I think that we've come to realize is that success is, is what people see. Like, it's different for everybody, right? So, like you said, it's the progressive realization of a worthy idea. So however you view success is, and if you are actively working to get there, and you do get there, you are successful. So obviously, success can be determined in terms of financial, health, just life, spiritual, relationships, whatever it may mean. And so for those of you listening, since you're listening to this, like, sit down and try to think, especially as we're talking through this and even after this, like, what does success truly mean to you? Not what success looks like for other people, not what success looks like for your mom, not what success looks like for your little sister. What does success look like for you? And determine in each of these areas, what success is for you personally.
Yeah, because it is different too. And I think one of my favorite things, I didn't really understand it at first. What is that quote? Like, goals are for you to grow to, not for you to go to. And I never really understood that. So my understanding of that now, like breaking down success in this way as we dive into it, is like, if goals are for you to grow to, then growing is a constant state. You're growing or you're dying, right? And instead of going to, so success is not just point B or point Z. It's not, just the destination. It's literally what makes you on the path. And that is different for everybody. Like, you and I, we both work out every day at 5:30 for two totally opposite reasons. Like, our bodies are just not the same. We're not doing the same thing. We're just not. Relationships, same thing. Business partnerships, and I think understanding that, like, there's no person that has it all, at least that I know of. There's some people that I definitely would take advice from, and learn from, and maybe even trade places with them for a day. But at the same time, like, reaching success in all areas of your life and really creating and giving back once you've done that. So I think what we're trying to dive into as we go into these common themes, because with their show, like Mind Flux, it means to change the flow, like to look at things differently, how you look at it. When you change what you're looking at changes. So you and I, we're just taking these common themes from success, and that's what we follow. That's what we notice. We've probably cut out a lot of fat as we go into this of what all these different success concepts would be. But I think the common themes are applicable everywhere for every single person. So I just kind of want to ask you, what are some of the common themes that or the concepts of like common themes and how we're even like applying them.
Yeah. So first off, I just want to say with like common themes, like I think it's very important for people to realize that and take hold, or just realize that, if you want to be successful in a certain area, you need to kind of look at the blueprint for success. And like we said, it's different for everybody. Mm-hmm. But, as we're going through this, we are talking about the key like principles and the common theme. So just off the gate, like faith, we should just start there. Because I think that's like most important. And ironically, I just got done reading the chapter on faith today and Think Grow Rich, because I'm just like continuously going through that book. But like faith is probably, and that's also my favorite chapter, by the way. Like every page is highlighted. But when we say faith in terms of like getting on the way to where you want to be in terms of being successful, that's probably the number one thing that anyone must have. Because like if you do not believe in yourself and believe in where you're trying to go, like you're going to stop, or you're going to listen to outside sources, and they're going to be in your ear, and you're going to listen to them. But if you believe in yourself and have faith to where you want to go, then that's what's going to keep you pushing along the journey.
Yeah, and we talked about this with one of our clients last night too. Like the thing about faith is like faith and fear both require you to believe in something you can't see, and they can't exist at the same time in the same place. It's impossible. You can't be fearful and faithful at the same time. And I don't want any of you, but the reason why we're starting with this too is because this should not raise a red flag. This is not a sermon. We're not talking about God. People have observed 30,000 of those, right? And they all talk about the same thing. But if you don't believe in any gods, science says the exact same thing. There are principles and there are laws in science, chemistry, math, physics, right? In the universe, in religions, and they all center around believing in the written rules, and what's out there. And what people don't understand is like that blueprint for success is out there for them too. So whatever success looks like for you, someone has gotten there first, and they have the roadmap. Like and if it's with relationships, those are there. If it's with fitness, those are definitely there. If it's with wealth, like it doesn't matter if you're in real estate or you're a personal trainer, or you're like us, you have an agency, or maybe you sell things online. Like it's different everywhere. So understand. I think it may be in the chapter of faith too, I think Grow Rich, and he says like it is not the model that's failed, it's the person, right? So you need to have faith in the model, and you need to follow and understand that where you're trying to go, there is a clear path. You just might not be on it yet. So if you're not getting there, there's something that needs to change, and you just need to have the faith that you can change. You can go through and like take hold of whatever it takes, to get where you want to go.
Yeah, and even like when you have faith, so this is the thing about faith, and this is something that I was like reading today. It's like, when you have faith and you continuously tell yourself that, you believe in what you're doing, that continuous thought just seeks into like your subconscious mind, right? And our subconscious mind literally control every single part of our life, our habits.
Right.
So like when you adopt a high level of faith into your life and continuously believing and thinking that you can get to where you want to be, you will become unstoppable. Like honestly, like so for us, like we've developed a very, very high level of faith in just the past years. Like no matter the circumstances of what happens, like no matter how tough it gets, no matter what, we still believe, and nothing has deterred us from what we are doing, because what we believe, and we've thought about it so much, and we've thought and had this concept of where we want to go and engraved in our minds so much, like the action comes after that. It's like nothing can stop us. And for those of you listening, like faith is, like I said, is super important. And once you adopt it and believe whatever you're doing, the action and just the progress will come, because like you won't stop.
Yeah, like it's like when people say like you're too dumb to stop. It's like, no, I just believe in where I'm going. Yeah. Like if I'm trying to get to McDonald's, I got multiple options. I can drive the car, ride the bike, ride the bus, walk, run, crawl. Like the Tony Robbins brings this up on stage a lot. He says, how long do you wait for your kid to learn how to walk until they get it figured out?
Yep.
Like your faith, like you understand the kid is gonna walk. Like that makes perfect sense, right? How many times do you, I don't know, take the class or go to class or do the thing, like until you figure out the grade? Like everybody has this everywhere in their life. They believe in something, the system, whether it be school or whether it be their parents or whether it be whatever. They believe in something bigger than them, telling them how to get where they want to go, Until it takes their own thought, their own wish. Where do I want to go? And that's the hardest thing to be faithful in, yourself. That's the hardest part about this. Like, and we have examples too, but it's like, it's the hardest part to say, like, there's a system for everything, including where you want to go, but it's really hard to find. Like, if you want to get a degree to get a job, there's a clear path. If you want to get a body type and you got this body type, there's a clear path. But if success to you looks different in all these different areas, there's going to be all these different paths. And, you know, it's up to you to figure it out. So, like, an example for me is in school, in track, in college, I only went to college to run. But every single school told me no. I had coaches email me back, you will never be a college athlete, not even D3. Like, you cannot run here. My school didn't even have a track, but I was pretty talented. And I had a coach bring me on. He had faith in me. He said, you know, I've brought on small town kids before. I can only let you walk on. Like, I think you could be good. You know, show up and do your thing. And I did. For 4 years, every day I spent standing over a trash can. By the end of that journey, I was not only, like, I was a Division I athlete. I went to a Division I school. And, like, so, you know, shout out to all those coaches who were wrong. But I ended up breaking the university record, fastest person to ever go there, going to NCAA prelims, winning conference, like, leading my team, winning a conference championship my freshman year. Like, there was a lot of pieces of that puzzle, a lot of accolades of success, and it just came from me staying with it and believing that I could get there, and my coach believing in me. And so it was just like an example, like, how that was the only reason why I went to school anyways, but I just knew, like, I have to do this, and it created so many opportunities. That's where you and I met. That's when I had my son, like, you know, all these crazy things. So, like, if you know where you're trying to go, for me, I wanted to run. I knew that's what I was trying to do, and I was trying to get to the highest level. You can get there, like, and it's just a small example for me, you know?
Yeah, and I think what's important is, like, you knew where you were trying to go, and along that path, like it's like when you're consistently thinking about what you want, the opportunities always appear, and the resources. Like, we say it all the time, like, everything works out the way it's supposed to work out as long as you believe in yourself. And that's, like, one thing that you did. Like, I mean, it's just a crazy story.
Yeah, like, yeah, there's so many factors. And I don't want to dive too deep into it, but, like, it is crazy. Like, literally walk on to, I used to say, like, walk on to walk over. Like, I was one of the fastest people, you know, fastest white guys in the country. Literally the fastest in my conference, like, fastest in university history at a Division I school. We have Olympians on our team, you know? So, like, it was a big deal. Like, I had that shot to run professionally. And I think that is huge because I was a walk-on, you know? And I think that's the separation between, you know, talent and hard work, like, is faith. Because one person will put faith in their talent and one person will put faith in the process. Your talent can only take you so far. That is a fact. Your talent, you can get injured, you lose talent. You get injured, you don't lose hard work. You get injured, you don't lose the system. And, you know, that was an example for me. And that's where you can see faith very clearly. Everybody, I think most of the people who have listened have probably been on a sports team or they've been part of a club. There's always leaders. There's always star players. What is the difference in them? It's not just talent. It's always that hard work and somebody believing in the team, the process, the coach, the group, the company, bigger than themselves. And that's really what faith sums up as. It's got to be bigger than you.
Right. I agree. Yeah, super important. So work on your faith, guys, because, like, if you don't have that, I don't think you have anything.
Bars.
Honestly. So the next one, which I think is, like, very important because, so, like, we talked about faith, right? But without this one, and this is also a common thing that we see, and a common thing that we see in people that we look up to, or even anybody who has any type of success in any area, they've all said they've done this, they stay true to this, and this is a requirement to getting to where you want to be. And I think it's consistent persistence. So we've been interested to talk about this all the time when it comes to, like, being consistent. We had an episode in, like, season 1 talking about the compound effect. Like, I think this one is very, very, very important because, like, a longer journey, like, you will have failures, you'll have roadblocks, you'll have all these different things. But the thing that separates people from, you know, getting to the end goal and not is their ability to stay on track no matter the circumstances and just getting over the obstacles and keep going day by day by day, even when things are cloudy, like, even when things don't seem like they're working. But as long as you are staying consistent and beating down that door and staying persistent, like you can't fail. Like the things that you need will come to you.
Yeah, they have to, because you run out of ways to not do it. First of all, like there's, the classic Thomas Edison quote, didn't fail 10,000 times. I found 10,000 ways not to do it. There is literally a finite amount of ways to mess up. There is an infinite amount of ways to succeed.
Yep.
And that's what I don't want people to forget. Like I said, there's so many paths, 'cause there's so many areas of success in your life. Like it can be about, like, for example, your fitness, your relationships, your business, like anything. So since there's all those areas, there's so many paths for success. There are very limited paths to failure. So if you do the opposite of what those limited paths are, like, you will succeed, and you have to. And one of them is that consistent persistence. Like, it's not enough to just be persistent and say, oh, I'm going to lose 15 pounds. And you try this month, and then you take 2 or 3 months off and try again, and take a year off and try again. 10 years go by, and you've tried 10 times, right? I'm 0 for 10. Must not work for me. No, like, you were persistent, but you weren't consistent enough, right? And it's not just enough to be consistent, because you might be consistently doing the wrong things, like not persisting towards your goal. So, for example, you might be consistently doing only one type of workout, even though your goal or your body type might require you to get somewhere else. Or you might be trying one type of business, but it might try something else. Persistence is not just the having the wherewithal to, keep going. To me, persistence is also having the ability to go from a different angle, to say, like, okay, like, this isn't working, but I got to get there, so I'm going to switch it up. And this isn't working, I got to get there, and I'm going to switch it up. And, like, that's one thing that we've done, in our own lives, and we've observed, is like, there's so many paths for success. And if one isn't working for you, you can try another. And that's part of that persistence, but you got to consistently try it. When one plan fails, you can just try another, like, that fast.
Yeah, and it's like it's the key to just, like, moving forward. So, like, I think for us, it's just like we fear, in a way, I think for us, like, the reason why we stay so consistent is because, like, we fear the alternative if we don't stay consistent. So it's just like, we just know we need to keep at it, because, like, as you said, like, you're going to find a better way to do whatever it is.
Yeah.
Like you're going to find a better way. That's like, and we see that, like, true in our business. Like, we've been trying to figure out things in our business for a couple years.
This morning.
Yeah. and I honestly feel like we had, like, a bit more of a breakthrough now, and a lot more, like, understanding with, what we're doing. But it took a couple years to get to this point.
A couple years.
Yeah. and some people
Years.
can't even wait 6 months.
Yeah.
Can't even do it for 6 months. But you have to be relentless on trying to get to where you want to be. And no matter the circumstances, like, key ingredient.
And like, when you said fear the alternative, it's just like that person losing weight, right? Like if you hate, for example, now, like, obviously, looking at me, I've never experienced being overweight. I do not understand the psychology of somebody who's overweight, but I have tested my limits continuously as an athlete, and also now, as not an athlete, with foods and other things. I was telling you, I was pacing back and forth, trying not to eat a mini Snickers, because I was like, man, this is what this is like. Like, when you're not supposed to do something, but you can, and it's right there, right? It's so hard to do. So, like, imagine having a body addicted to something, cigarettes or food. And thinking about that consistent persistence, like, fearing the alternative of what happens. It's not just what happens if I do this, it's what happens if I don't. So that's why we get up at 5:30, for example. Like, I don't like it either. But what happens if I don't do it? And I can go in a long list of everything that doesn't happen and everything else that happens, and, like, as a result of not doing it. And, like, it's consistent persistence is not just what you should do, it's also what you shouldn't do. Like, you have got to consistently avoid certain things as well. And you've got to be persistent at trying new things to avoid those as well. So when we were putting this together, shout out to Luciana, by the way, she talked about somebody quitting smoking, and they, like, asked him what his secret was. And he's like, I never quit quitting. And, like, consistent persistence make you quit proof. And we've even talked about, too, also on one of our episodes in season 1, which you guys can get in the vault, by the way. We talked about that too. Like, failure is just quitting. That's it. That's all failure is. If success is a journey going on the path, quitting is stopping. That's it. Whenever you stop moving forward, the path keeps going, and you don't. You're moving backwards. And so this consistent persistence, that concept of that, is going to bulletproof it. It has for us, and we've observed it in other people as well.
Yeah, definitely. super, super important. Like, can't stress it enough. Because, like, if you don't stay consistent, it's like you're not moving forward.
Yeah.
And if you let other people, like, I feel like the one with the most reps is going to be the best.
Right. Like the Bruce Lee thing.
Yeah.
Like, it's not the man who did 10,000 kicks, but the one kick 10,000 times. Like, imagine
Exactly.
getting kicked by that guy.
Man, knocked out instantly.
Or punched, like
Yeah.
Mayweather, for example, or just any. This is so easy to relate to sports and fitness. That's the thing, is like, because everybody has a body, right? So, like, not everybody has a business. Not everybody has a wife or a baby or a kid, or not everybody has school. Some people don't even have jobs, right? So, like, one thing that we, are relating this to is fitness in the body, just because it's so easy to understand. But, like, imagine getting kicked by the guy who's kicked the same kick 10,000 times. It's going to be perfect. They say 10,000 hours for a reason. And, like, in a way, I think we're so consistent because it's like we're checking off those 10,000 hours. We know that's where mastery is. We know mastery is on the other side of that. So it's like, if we don't do it, we won't become masters at what we're doing. That's an opposite thing. Either do it or fail.
Right. And it's like, there's a quote that I heard like 5 years ago when I just first got started with entrepreneurship. And it was like, it's not who wants it the most, is who wants it the longest. And I think this like really relates like to this specific principle. Like it's about who wants it the longest, because like whoever wants it the longest, they're going to be willing to do whatever it takes, however long it takes, to have that longevity in whatever it is that they're pursuing. It's like someone can want it really bad up front and they can work super hard for 3 months and get the success that they see, but then what happens after that? They don't have as many reps as a person that failed for 3 years. Like the person who failed for 3 years has longevity.
Which is irreplaceable.
Yep.
And experience. And speaking of experience, that's like goes to the next point perfectly. Successful people, and what we've observed, and what we kind of just even talked about too, successful people learn from their mistakes and their adversity. Like that's the only way to describe it. Like when successful people fall, they get back up in a little bit different way. Like it's going to happen. We talk about temporary defeat, for example, and Think and Grow Rich talks about that a lot. Like it's temporary defeat. You make a new plan. If you fall, it's not how many times you can fall, it's how many times you can get back up, right? And there's like the Rocky Balboa stuff about that too. One thing that I think about when I think about learning from adversity, the reason why we don't do that is because it forces us to look in the mirror most of the time. Understand, like what Think and Grow Rich was talking about. It is not the method that failed. It is you. Like, and that's hard. It hurts. It hurts. Like when a campaign fails for us and we got clients expecting to make money, that's our fault.
Yep.
And that sucks. Because it's like we're working so hard, and everything we're doing is we're working so hard. Like that, there's no other way to say it. I'm trying so hard, and you still fail. But it's not the method. It was just your plan. And so I think learning from that is very hard. But people who are truly successful do that on a continuous basis. They learn from their mistakes.
Yeah, and it's like if you keep doing the same thing, you're gonna keep getting the same results. So it's like if you don't learn from the mishaps, it's like you literally can't go forward. But like that's the beauty in it. Like even like over the years we failed so many times, but I guarantee you we wouldn't trade it for anything. Like we wouldn't trade it for having the success 36 months in. Like because everything that we learn is a part of the bigger picture of where we're destined to be, I think.
Yeah. And the more times you like learn, the more times you like fail in a way or get defeated, it's like that arrow or that catapult. Like you might be going backwards on the surface, but like that's because you're loading for something. Because now you have experience that now when it starts to pick up, it's going to go 10 times faster and 10 times further, because you're going to be able to connect the dots from, oh, that mistake there and that mistake there and that mistake there. And all of a sudden you have a better product than your competitors. They might have beat you for 3 years, but your product is better in year 4 than they can compete with for the next 10. Like that's quantum leap. That's how people have quantum effects. And I think that's too like why Gary Vee talks about, and there's a lot of entrepreneurs that talk about, longevity, and they talk about grinding every day and like, eating shit every day and like this idea of struggle porn. But understand, like, it is not the putting yourself through hell part. It's like like that you have to be miserable. You can be super happy, but you have to stay like down and fail so many times because that's the only thing that would prepare you to make something better. It's like Henry Ford. If I would have listened to the people, I would have made a faster horse. Like he failed miserably. And then Think and Grow Rich, they also talk about him wanting that, engine. And he just kept telling his engineers, just keep doing it. It's impossible. Keep doing it. It's impossible. Keep doing it. It's impossible. Oh, hey, Mr. Ford, we got it.
Yep.
He was persistent. And he also just kept learning from the failure. That was their job. And everywhere else, we see this in life. Like, if you fail your test, you have to show your work, and then you figure out why, right? If you fail your fitness, you got to show your diet or your workout plan, you know why. Your relationships, a lot of people point the blame, but it's people usually know what they're doing. They know what the problem is. But when it comes to somebody's success, what they want to do, this is super hard to do. Like, it's so hard to look and understand, what am I doing wrong?
Yeah.
And which goes into our next point, but I don't want to rush it. I want to ask you if there's anything, too, about learning from those mistakes, because like it's hard to say, what am I doing wrong, and then make a correction.
Yeah. I mean, I just think just start to look at it as a positive. Like, look at the mistakes as a positive. Because, like we said, like, when you learn from it, you do it a little bit better the next way. It may not be 100% better the next way. It might just be 10% better the next way. But regardless, that's 10% than where you were before. So I just think when it comes to learning from mistakes and adversity, and even learning from other people's mistakes and adversity.
That's true. We didn't even touch on that.
Yeah, I think that's important because it's like you don't have to make your own mistakes. You could just learn from other people's mistakes and just make newer mistakes.
Right, exactly. Like, oh, they messed that up and that up. I'm going to combine the two.
Yeah.
Like, because we even said success is a journey, right? And like other people have been where you're trying to go. So why couldn't you learn from them? Like, that's why people pay for mentors. That's why people could pay for coaches. That's why people join teams, because it's people failing together or people who have already done it. So then they can say, this is where you're trying to go. I can get there. Or this is where we're trying to go. Well, if we all go all these different directions, one of us will figure it out. And there's riddles about that kind of stuff too. You're stuck in a cave and there's only 3 ways out, and there's, all this crazy stuff. And my brother was asking me one the other day. It was mind boggling. I could not figure it out. But then I was thinking about that, like, ironically, that is exactly how success is. Like, it doesn't matter where you're trying to go. There's all these different ways, like, but there is a way. There was an answer.
Somebody got there.
Exactly. So it's not impossible.
Yeah.
And I think that's where, that ties in with faith again, that it's not impossible. Like, you have to believe it's possible, and that is possible for you. And the way you'll ensure that is that consistent persistence, and then learning from your mistakes as you go, and learning from other people.
Yep.
It's deep.
It's
on fire. It's on a roll.
Super important. So the next one, which I think is very, very key. So like we talked about faith. We talk about consistent persistence. We talked about learning from others' mistakes and adversity. But I also think, along the process, like, you must evaluate where you are at in order to find out where you need to go. So like, this is one mistake that I a lot of times like make, I think, in terms of like getting to where I need to go in a timely manner. I sometimes avoid where I'm at because it can be harsh. It can be a tough pill to swallow and truly identify where you're at. But it is very key to determine where you're at, so then that way you know exactly where you need to go. Because like if you can't measure where you're at to where you need to go, like, and you had a pretty cool analogy the other day. I forgot who he was talking to, but you're talking about a map.
Oh, yeah, it's like having a map without a compass, or a perfectly good map and no compass.
Right.
Or vice versa, like having a perfectly good compass and no map. Like there's really, like, there's no substitute for, like, you can't just say, I want to go there, like, and have no idea where you're starting from. That's why learning from mistakes is so hard. You don't even know what mistakes you've made. Like, how often do you take a true evaluation? Where am I winning and losing with my money? Where am I winning and losing with my relationships, with my mom, right? Where am I winning and losing with my health? Where am I winning and losing spiritually, or my craft, or my dream, or my passion, or my business, or school? Like, what is slowing me down and what is making me faster? Like, those are very, very simple things to measure. You know what you're doing right, and you know what you're doing wrong, because you have that second thought before you do something wrong pretty much every time. It's very hard. Like, one of the things about learning from adversity too is not knowing where you're making the mistake. Well, if you're evaluating, you'll be able to figure that out. Like, and successful people constantly reevaluate their businesses, and they reevaluate their relationships, and they reevaluate where they are, because you just said it. How are they going to get where they're trying to go? And better yet, how do they even know where they're trying to go? Forget how to get there. The how figures itself out. If you know where you're trying to go, the how always appears. Like, we've talked about that. The people, the resources, the places, the opportunities, like, all that happens. It just happens because you know where you're trying to go. You cannot say with confidence that you want to get to this spot if you don't know where you're starting from, because it wouldn't make sense. It just, like, you can't have one without the other.
Right. And it's just that the concept of evaluation is just like, it's a part of like the progress of like where you need to go. And I mean, there's many examples. Like one thing I recommend a lot of people to do is look at their bank account every day. Because I honestly think it doesn't matter how much money you make. I mean, there probably is a certain point where you're like, probably like you good, but like you always want more. So it will always be tough to like look at something like that. Or, your health. Like, I had an example. So I'm doing this 30-day metabolic reset program right now. But like before then, there was like Christmas break and that whole 2 weeks. I avoided weighing myself for about a good 2 weeks. And I was just like, because I know I ate like crap for like 2 weeks straight every single day, eating out to eat. But I was just like, man, like, I am scared to weigh myself. But once I did it, for one, it wasn't as bad as I thought it was, not nearly, but it was like, okay, this is where I'm at. All right, this is where I need to go. And it was like just a reality check. I think that's what it is too. Is just like it's to check yourself and make sure you're holding yourself accountable.
Yeah, and another thing you said too is you said we always want more. More than what? Like, if you're not evaluating, more than what? You cannot say I want more, and if you don't know what you already have. And like an easy way to evaluate too, like you said, your bank and your weight, the people around you. Like, just ask yourself why you're winning or losing in that area. Why do I weigh 160 pounds? And what would I rather weigh? Then you're able to see a clear path to get there, right? And you can pick the best one for you. Why am I only making, $60,000 a year or $6 million a year? And then I want to multiply that by 10. Now you can figure out how to get there. Like, as humans, we always want more. We're creative beings. Like, we have to push for more and progress, because if we are not growing, we're dying. You can see that in any human, anywhere, everywhere. Like, when there is a lack of progress, there is always something bad coming with it, or failure. Like, people need progress to feel alive. Like, it's part of it. Well, if you are not constantly evaluating, how are you going to be constantly progressing? You're either going to get stagnant or go backwards. And like, you just can't get more if you don't know what you've already got.
Yeah, and one more thing about this is like, it is like self-evaluation in the many different areas of your life. What I found for me personally, it's an indicator of where my mindset is. So like, for example, like finances, it's a direct correlation of where your finances are. Like I told you, a couple weeks ago, I looked at my finances. I was like, man, I think my mindset was like, even though so much progress was made, I was like, there's something still wrong. Like,
yeah,
like, cause it is a direct correlation of where my mind is. So and that goes with like spiritually, fitness, whatever it may be. If you don't have the results and like, if you don't have the results that you want and you're not evaluating, and if you do evaluate, it would literally tell you where your mind is, where your thoughts are.
Yeah, and it'll build confidence.
Yeah.
Like, because the second you know where you're at, now you can say, here's where we are, here's where we want to go. You can start running through those plans. You can start failing through those plans, really. Like, you can start finding out all the ways not to get there, at the very least, which means what? You're going to get there. Like, you will instantly have confidence once you evaluate yourself. Now, the evaluation process is still not easy. Like, because you've got to say, how much money am I making? Why? Well, I only work this job. Why? Well, because I can only get paid by the hour. Why? You already know people who make more than that, and they don't get paid by the hour, right? Or, I weigh this much. Why? Well, because I eat this way. Why? and you can just keep asking yourself why until you knock down those beliefs and you figure out exactly what's going on. And then you'll know those beliefs and what you believe in. Like you said, your mindset, and that's based on, those beliefs. So evaluation is going to constantly push you towards, what you believe in and what you need to believe in to get where you want to go. And now all of a sudden you'll be confident. Like for us, we did this goal setting process, which we're going to share in our accountability challenge. And we'll probably, end up making like a private training on as well, because it's so effective. And we've had multiple people do it. It is so effective. It took us 9 hours on the whiteboard to go through our past year and evaluate. And, we have the same, it was such an impactful moment for us that like, we know we're going to do that every month now to really evaluate where we're at, because then we can see it very clearly, all the variables that got us there. And all those variables that got us there, we're going to take the winning ones because we know why we're doing them and we know where they get us. We're going to keep doing them, and we're going to change the losing ones. Change the mindset, change the weight, change the money-making habit, change the way you talk to the person that means a lot to you, whatever it might be. Understand, like this is what this show is about. You can change anything. That's what we do as humans. Anything going on in your life, you can change. So for me, I think evaluation builds confidence. That's what it did for me. It's like, now I know why we're doing what we're doing. And when you know why, you're going to keep doing it. And you're going to do it bigger and bigger and better.
Yep, I agree. So the next one, which is it's
definitely the most important. Best for last, for sure.
Very, very, very important, is self-discipline. And I say this is very important because, if you're not able to have discipline of self and give yourself commands and follow them, I honestly feel like you're doomed. Like a lot of people lack self-discipline.
Doomed.
Like honestly, because like there's
Such
so
a
many
big word.
There's so many, things that are trying to pull you in certain areas, whether it is food, sex, drugs, whatever it may be. If you're not able to focus and hone in on what you want and where you're trying to go, and you don't have the discipline to literally give yourself a command and follow it into that path, you're going to get lost off track. And I think a lot of people get lost off track, and I think that's like why and we're not perfect with self-discipline. Like we have our times where we mess up all the time, but we mess up a lot less because like we are very conscious of the things that we're doing. So when we like mess up, we get back on track, and we're working to self-mastery of self-discipline. But it's important, and I think it's why we work on it so hard. To try to just tell ourselves to do something and do it, because that's super hard, especially when your paradigm's messed up.
Yeah, if we just walk down this topic in reverse, like evaluating is hard because you got to look at where you're undisciplined, and learning from your mistakes is hard because you've got to evaluate, right? Like you can literally reverse engineer this. What are other things? Being persistent and consistent is hard if you don't know why you're doing what you're doing. From learning and having faith in what you're doing is going to be impossible without all of these things. So like, it doesn't matter how you crisscross this, like it goes together. So like the thing about discipline, and I think you said it, give yourself a command and follow it. Like I think reiterating that is super important, because the second somebody listens to this and they hear discipline, they immediately think doing what they're told to do. And like we're saying self-discipline, doing what you're telling yourself to do. It's not what he said. It's not what she said. Yes, you're going to learn from mistakes from other people. Yes, there is a blueprint to follow, but there's a difference between doing what you're told and telling yourself what to do and following a plan because it's trying to get you where you want to go, not because somebody else told you to do it. You know what I mean? So like, of course, take the advice, read the books, like follow through that. But learning is not saying, okay, and just doing it without thinking about it. And just trying to do it all your own is virtually impossible. Like you need to think about it. Whatever information's coming in, and say, okay, like this is going to get me there, and I believe it. Because I believe it, I'm going to do it, and I'm going to do whatever it takes. And like then staying disciplined, persistent enough to follow through with what you said you were going to do. And it is hard. This is not easy. This is why there's very few successful people, right? And like, even though success is a journey, there are still very few of them. People think success is point B, the $1 million, the six-pack, the 70-year marriage, right? Like, those are all just accolades that come with the journey of working on it. Very few people have any of those things, let alone all of them. So, like, when we break this down around the principles of success, like, in every single area of success, there is self-discipline, no matter what that is for you. And that self-discipline is saying, I want to get there. What do I got to do? I'm going to do it.
Yeah. And I just think like with that, it's like, there's just like true power and and not being able to be deterred off your lane. Like I think it's honestly so powerful. Like you can't, if you come across someone and they're able to just be extremely disciplined, there is nothing you can tell that person to get off track. And when that happens, it's just like, that person is going somewhere and they know where they're going. And people and honestly too, when people know that you're disciplined, they don't even try to knock you off really, because like they just know. They know who you are, what you're about, and where you're trying to go. And it's just like you're able to just knock off the distractions. Like, I mean, at the beginning, say we were in college, right? We were not so disciplined in terms of like just doing things that didn't serve where we were trying to go. But now it's just like we don't even get asked to do stuff that much anymore because like people just get tired of asking.
Because we're gonna say no. Right. No offense. It's not meant to be offensive.
Right.
Like, but what you just said is super important. Because like think about that. Like so many people are blaming other people for like why they're not getting where they want to go. So they're saying, well, so and so doesn't believe in me. So and so keeps judging me. So and so keeps saying I need to do this. Right? It doesn't matter. Parents, friends, relationships. Like the second, and I've been asked this: how do you manage having a son, a business partner, family, people living with you to work with you, people that come in and work for free? How is all that possible? Like it just seems like everything you want happens. Yeah, because I'm disciplined enough for them to understand that's where I'm trying to go. And like either they fit in or they fit out. So like if you are having a problem with negativity in your life or people or haters, it's because like you're not displaying enough discipline for them to leave you alone. Like that is huge because when you get on your own path, everyone's going to have something to say. But when you stick to it, they're eventually going to get tired of saying it. And that's how you get them off your back is you stay persistent, you stay consistent, you keep doing what you said you were going to do and keep saying you're going to get to the same place. Don't change vehicles. Don't say, oh, like this business failed, I'm going to try this one. This failed, I'm going to try this one. And then keep doing the same undisciplined things. Like when you are disciplined, self-disciplined enough, it's not that, you're blowing through things. It's that everything gets out of your way. When you say stay in your lane, that's not an insult. People say stay in your lane. Okay, I'm happy. That's not my lane. Like, I don't want to mess with that. It's not me. Like I'm not trying to do that because it's not getting me where I want to go. If that requires me to get out of my lane and get out of where I'm trying to go, I have no interest in it. I'm sorry that I'm not sorry. Right. Like, and I think that that's huge. Like the way you said that, because like for so many people, that is what they blame for slowing them down is other people. But understand they're only blaming you. They're only bothering you because you were not displaying the discipline to shut them up. And like, I've even done that. I've had people tell me that they want this and that it's my job to help them get to there. Like, and I've agreed to that. But then I've had them do this, this, and this. And they do not understand why. It's not getting in line, like at all. They say they want to get here, but to me, they're not doing any of the things it takes to get there. So of course I'm going to have them keep doing this. You know what I'm saying? It could be anywhere.
Yeah. And like there's like when it comes to discipline, like I think for us, like we actively try to do little things to like master discipline in small ways. So in that way we can master them in like big ways. Because obviously, we always say like how you do anything is how you do everything. So whether that may be writing a passage every day or making sure we're reading every day or making sure we're just trying to get to the gym or making sure we're just trying to eat the right foods, which is like big, or make sure we're just showing up to the office every single day. Like those little small things add up to the overall like growth of your ability to be disciplined. And I think that's like super important. And you're able to like, the more disciplined you are, the more you're able to realize how not disciplined you are in certain areas. So when I say that, right, so like, and say like business, like we're pretty disciplined when it comes to showing up every single day. But for me, like I know I can be very disciplined in that. But say if it's like eating food and I do something that I'm not supposed to do, I just beat myself up like, man, why did I do that? Like, and one big thing, which is like a shift when we were at Thrive, Andy Frisella, he said, if you're not able to control what you put in your mouth, how are you able to build $1 billion business? And I said that on the other episode in like season 1, but like that was like out of everything he said, that whole speech,
the whole room went,
Yeah, like
He's like, because he was mad. Oh, he sounded mad.
yeah, but it's like so true. So like you got to be able to, for one, work in small areas of your life, but also like once you do master certain areas, like you do realize that how not disciplined you are at others, and that was going to make you want to work harder and be fully disciplined,
Exactly.
not just halfway.
Exactly, because if you start to master one area, you're going to want to master others because you're going to evaluate where you're at. And then you're going to understand you want more. And you're going to understand that it's going to walk this success principles backwards. Like you're going to literally go right through that because you're going to be able to say, awesome, I'm super fit now, but I have relationship problems. Or I'm super fit now, but I'm broke. Like I need to make some money. I need to get into business or whatever it may be. I need to get a better job. Like that's the thing about success that we're talking about. It's not a clear-cut path. It is not an A-B thing. It's the growth. It's the journey. And there's so many areas in your life to be successful. That is why that self-discipline is so important. And also you get the confidence too to go through it. Like it's hard because like if you slack and you messed up, it's like what you said. Why did I do that? Like I've done that before in so many ways too. Like when you're done doing whatever you're doing that you're not supposed to do, and you're just like, I probably didn't need to do that. It's like, well, probably didn't need to do it. Like it doesn't matter what. It could be just eating Chick-fil-A. Like I love Chick-fil-A. Like they need to.
Man, don't even talk about Chick-fil-A.
Man, tell Chick-fil-A to sponsors, guys. Listen, but I know I don't need to go there. I've got food at the house. What am I doing? Getting in my car, driving to spend money.
It's like you can't even control it.
I'm on autopilot. Like my body's like, no, we're getting this Chick-fil-A right now. But like that's the thing. It's hard to face when you like slack. And like that's why that evaluation is so important. That is why learning from your mistakes is so important. Because then you'll start to remove the things that are making it easier for you to fail. It's not just about success and what is going to make you better. It's like, what can keep me from getting worse? So for me, for example, like if it comes to my food, I just won't buy the bad food. Right? I'll just buy the good stuff. Right? If it comes to relationships, I won't put myself in a position to do, say, be a way that I shouldn't present myself. And like it's not easy. It's just that's just the thing, guys. This is not easy. The whole thing.
Yeah.
The whole topic. Like if you think that it's easy and you want it to be easy, it's not for you.
Yeah, and I think like just the knowledge is like all these things are, and especially on your way to however you identify your success, it is a inner battle to where you're trying to go. Like regardless of what you're trying to do, I don't care if it's you want to be the pogo stick champion of the world or Bill Gates. Like applying all these principles are an inner battle. Like faith, that is an inner battle with yourself to believe like where you want to go. Consistency is just an inner battle to just
keep
show
doing
up
it
every day. Like because learning from other mistakes, that's an inner battle to just like be like, okay, or learning from your own mistakes, okay, and just like realizing, even evaluation, just realizing where you're at and what you need to do to get to where you want to go. All of these things like is an inner battle because even for me, like when I like look at our process and just look at me just like an individual in terms of like just trying to keep on track, it is an inner battle every single day. It's like why am I thinking this way? What thoughts am I having? How can I change them super quickly? Like whatever it may be, it's just like it's a journey. And you got to be able to fight it and fight through it to get to your best self.
Yeah, and that's what you said, your best self. You also said it's an inner battle. Like it requires thinking, like thinking for yourself. Ironically, it's what the whole show is about. Like changing your mind, changing how you look at things. Like thinking for yourself is not easy. It is easy to follow other people, to think that discipline is following someone else's orders. Because when you fail, now you're blaming their orders, right? Like it's easy to put faith in something outside of yourself, like a relationship. That's what's going to get you happiness. Because then when that fails, you can blame that on being unhappy instead of you figuring it out for yourself, right? It's easy to be inconsistent, to be to not persist in where you're trying to go and put barriers in front of yourself to say, well, I didn't get there because of this, and that. I can't be consistent. I can't. There's all these things in my life, right? And to say I can't learn and I can't evaluate because I'm not the problem. It's easy. That's the easy thing. If you want it to be easy, like that's the path you should follow, and that's not where I'm trying to go, right? So like understanding that following others or just like not thinking for yourself is going to make it impossible to also be successful. And that's one of the most common themes with all successful people is they knew where they wanted to go and they did whatever it took to get them there. Understand? It's about them. It's your world. We're just living in it, right? We're just trying to help, like, because I know where I'm trying to go and I'm going to get there. And I think that like, I know I'm going to get there because I have faith in it.
Yep.
And I've seen it work. And it's worked for me hundreds of other ways. And where I'm trying to go now is just so big, it takes a little bit extra time. So big that it takes a little extra work. Like there's just a lot more that goes into it now. And that is the understanding. Like that is the big thing about success. Like the bigger you're trying to go, you know, sometimes the longer it's going to take, the further you're going to have to reach, the more you're going to have to stretch, the harder you're going to have to work. Like how big do you want it? All right. Are you willing to accept what comes with it?
Boom.
Man, success principles.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
So, man, so to summarize, guys, like a guide, understand, first of all, success is different. Success is a journey, is not a destination. And, you know, to get there, you're going to have faith. You're going to have to be consistently persistent. You're going to have to learn from your mistakes and adversities, not just your own, but other people's. You're going to have to evaluate where you're at, and you're going to have self-discipline that says, like, I need to get there, and I'm not doing the right things. You got to, you know, admit those mistakes. You've got to say, I made the wrong decision when you go and evaluate that. You've got to say, I am not consistent enough. I will be now, right? And you've got to have faith that you're going to get there. You've got to truly believe it because, like, that's not easy to do. So like if you look at this success principles that we've picked, that we followed, of course there's more. Of course there's hundreds of other things you could be doing. And we'll have episodes about them because some of them are so big they can be their own thing. But understand, like, no matter which one of these you pick to lead with, it will get you to success. Because every successful person we know, we study, we follow, has a story that starts with one of these big pillars. And it gets them where they want to go. And, you know, that's it.
Yep.
What do you think? You got any last thoughts about it?
No, I just like really evaluate everything that we talked about and try to apply it in your life. And don't try to do it right out the gate in every area. Just pick one and just try to work on them and then just build your way up.
Every single day.
Yep.
Build your way up. Just follow the plan. It'll work for everybody else.
Yep.
Awesome, guys. So, again, if you got value from this show, from these success principles, from what we apply it to, please subscribe to us on YouTube. If you're watching this, I'm looking right at you on the camera. You, right there. I know it's free. But more importantly, I know it's going to scale our rankings and get this to as many people as possible. And if you're on iTunes, please leave us a review. Again, it will boost our rankings, most importantly, so other people can hear these shows. Now, a little extra incentive for that as well is we do a thing called Million Monday. We want this to reach 1 million lives every single week as fast as possible. So, guys, if you follow us at MindFluxed, MindFluxed on Instagram, all you have to do is take a screenshot of one of our posts, one of our episodes, and post it to your story. Use the hashtag Million Monday and tag us, and we are going to be giving away every single week shirts, hats, accesses to pieces in our accountability challenge, which you can go back a few episodes and listen to. There's a lot in there and a lot more. Every single thing that we release in the future is going to have this giveaway on it, so you're not going to want to miss it because we're going to get more and more people doing it. And also, we're going to be coming out with more things, more value, more training, more access, private trainings with our guests, private interviews. There's a lot that's going to be given away on Million Monday. So make sure you're sharing that to your page every single week on Monday when it goes out. Just put it on your story. It'll be gone in 24 hours. It's like only us will know it's there. So that's how you guys can get involved in sharing this is, you know, subscribing, reviewing, and using Million Monday. Again, you can follow us at MindFluxed, and you can follow our producer at Benji Got Beats, BENJY Got Beats, and you can follow me, one of your hosts, at Tristan Is Thinking. Where can they find you, Josh?
On IG at I am Josh Matthews.
Boom. Great episode.
Yep.
Awesome, guys. These are success principles. Follow them, like, subscribe, and review. Thanks, guys. We'll see you next week.
Peace.